Okay, so we're talking in these three prakim, these three chapters. We're talking about a person's impact on the world via action, speech, and thought. So we discussed action, we discussed thought. Last time we took a little detour, which is going to come in handy for this chapter, is that we took a detour to the four worlds and the four layers of the worlds, right? Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya, the four worlds of each one, right, more spiritual than the next. And so now in this chapter, Parakir Dalet, which we're going to begin now, we're going to talk about machshava. Okay, and then he's going to tie it at the end. If we get to it, he's going to tie it all together a little bit. Okay, so v'chein, and similarly, al hahisayrus shulamaylo, regarding the influence up above al yidei bechinas hamachshava, through the aspect of thought. Omar David HaMelech. So this is a pasuk he brought before when he talked about action. So David HaMelech writes, "And Tehillim hayoytzer yachad libam." He forms their hearts together. Hamevin el kol maseim, and he understands towards all their actions. So we remarked that towards all their actions doesn't seem to make sense. It should say Hamevin kol maseim. It should have just said he understands their actions. What is it towards all their actions? So over there he said that when you analyze an action, you have to understand it from not just the action itself, but all of the subcategories of the action and all of the additional elements of the action. And so he said, so let's see, he should have said he understands all their actions. So above in Parak Yud Beis, Parashmal Bechina Samaisa, we discussed how that pasuk relates to the bechina, to the aspect of maisa, of action. And that is, he said that thought, he really said that he was talking about over there machshava, thought, but thought in as much as it redefines your action. So a person's thought is able to redefine the action, but at the same time, he's going to now say there is also the thought that could be judged independently or looked and analyzed independently. So therefore we can also explain it also regarding the aspect, the element of thought. And it's like this. Because it is possible, there are two men who are doing one similar, same avera. Okay? But however, their punishment will not be equal. It could be because one of them, sichlo, his seichel v'hasagosa, and his grasp, is greater than his friends. Mitzad, why? Because the root of his soul, the root of his soul originates from a higher place, mishel chaver, than his friends. And the punishment for a person is in accordance to the pagam, the damage that he causes above. That's going to be the key line over here. The oynish, or the reward, is meted out, is measured out in accordance to the pagam, the full impact of the avera or the mitzvah. Right? And each person's pagam reaches to the place where he is originally kind of originated. Yeah. So therefore, every person's, depending on his shayrish of nishmasa, depending on his potential, therefore his averes or his mitzvahs will also have a greater significance.
So can you exceed it?
I don't know. They say you can, but I don't know how that works. But maybe supposedly, yeah. Okay, but again, I have no idea what that means. But okay, let's. Okay, so so it says in the Zohar, man de pogam lesata, somebody who damages below, pogim leela also damages above. La sardi is gazar nishmose, from the place that his soul was hewn, was formed, was cut off from. Right? V'shom, and further over there in the similar place, v'kad barnash ovid choyvin, when a person does choyvin in a beir, kefuma hu barnash, in accordance to what that man is, hochi solik choyvei so too goes up his sin la'asar de'izgazav nishmosei, from to the place that from which his soul was hewn. V'oinshei ihu sagi kifum darge, and his oynish is the greatness of his oynish. Sagi means great. Is kifum darge is according to his level. B'chein kosav arizal b'shar eichudim reish tikun. Tikkun avoinus of creates chaim ba'akdosim slash abbas begagulim. So again, he brings it arizals for different places that if you want to go there, you can find it. Ve'einu doime. So therefore, he brings this moshel. Ve'einu doime metanef chatzar melech lemetanef paltin shel melech. There is no similarity, or it's very different. Somebody who sullies or who dirties the chotzer of the king, right? The outdoor garden or whatever it is. Chotzer means yard. The yard of the king lemitalnef paltin shel melech, to somebody who dirties the palace of the king. V'kol shekain hakisei, and further and even worse, the throne or big tifarto, or his kingly garments. V'kol shekain hakeser, and even more so the crown, right? So again, so obviously the oynish is kifi the pagam, is in accordance to the damage. So therefore, and the damage depends on how high it goes. Just so if a person dirties, leaves some dirt in the king's yard, okay, I mean it's terrible. The king may get upset, but it's not the same as if you throw some dirt on his crown. That's obviously a much more significant rebellion. And this is a very interesting and important point. And that even though each world that is higher than the other worlds, there is less ability, there is less koyach, there is less ability of the oven of the sin lifoil by pagam to actually cause any damage there and leave roishim and leave an imprint, right? Because the higher, the closer you get to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, like the word of Atzilus we discussed, there's very little reach for a human being in that world. Mm-hmm. So yes, you could leave a little, some kind of an imprint, some kind of a speck, some kind of a something, but you just don't have the full ability to really bring your dirt, so to speak, all the way up there. Okay, those gates are closed off to you. Im kol zeh, but still in all, oinsha godol yoser. But still in all, even though the imprint on the lofty worlds is less, but the punishment is still greater. Why? He explains. Because if somebody who is appointed, his job is to cleanse the crown, to make it shine, the crown of the king, right? So he's responsible for the cleanliness of the crown of the king. So if he leaves behind even a small speck of dust, right? Between the guy who's responsible to clean the yard, and he left, he didn't do a good job cleaning the yard. So that guy's, so obviously the demand that's placed on the guy who's cleaning the crown is going to be significantly greater than the demand on the janitor who's cleaning the yard. Even if he leaves there a bunch of dirt, dust, and clay and cement. And therefore, there are so many different judgments of Hashem which are all true. In so many different divisions without end. Meaning Hashem's, for every person is judged completely on an individual level, totally separate. Everything is unique depending on who you are, what you're doing, what are all the aspects of a person's sin. Everything is completely unique for each person. And for every single person in the madrega of a pagam, in regards to the level of the damage that he causes via the shayrish nishmasha, the root of his soul, me'eze oilam chutzva, depending on from which world it was hewn. Right? So that's one reason. That's one reason why two people doing the same aveira can have a totally different oynish, just because these are very different people. They're different by nature. Okay, there's another reason why two people doing the same thing can get a different oynish. Mitam shlehoisa machsheves shnehem shove beis asiyas oven, because each one had a different thought at the time that he was doing the Aveira.
The same physical action.
Right, the same, exactly. I said same physical action, but different thinking involved. V'apagam nimshach b'hoilomas, and therefore the damage is drawn through the worlds. Gam lefi inyan hamachshava b'shasa asiya, also in accordance to the thought that takes place during the action. V'ima'echad hidbik yoiser machshavte le'aveira. Therefore, if one person is more hidbiki, meaning he's more glued, he's more attached to the Avera, definitely he's going to be deemed worthy of a greater punishment. Because at that point, the pagam, the damage, then the damage can reach higher up into the higher worlds. Again, maybe it's a smaller imprint, but it reaches much higher, and over there, the demand is significantly greater, and the responsibility is significantly greater. So mitam zeh hashoy going shoy yoser kalma amazing. And just from the simpler understanding, that's why the shoygeg, somebody who does an avera by mistake, meaning without thought, right, is less significant than somebody who does it b'mezid. What's the difference? The action is the same, right? This guy was Mechal Shabbos, and this guy was Mechal Shabbos. Obviously, just on the very basic level, the thought defines what the thought. Well, it's an interesting example. The thought is taken into account.
The poison is so much deeper in an addict than it is in an occasional user.
Right, it becomes more intrinsic. Right, exactly. Right, when something is more intrinsic, so therefore it's part of his inner thought, not just his outer thought, and therefore it reaches higher, and therefore the punishment is going to be much greater. Therefore, the Chazal say, the thoughts of sin is greater than sin itself. Meaning, so I'm not sure if this is talking about just thoughts by themselves, meaning as a person does the sin, right? So he's judged both on the action and on the thought. So the thought within the action of an Aveira is more significant than the Aveira itself. Well, like you said, the amount of thought, not just planning, but the amount of, like you said, like the attachment, the intellectual attachment that he has to this action. The deeper the intellectual attachment goes, the deeper it strikes in the worlds, and therefore the greater the damage is, and therefore the oynish is greater as well.
But why can't we say that he contained himself by only having the thought and he didn't proceed with the action?
Right, I'm saying, I don't know if this is speaking about, right, if somebody says, well, I'm going to go, he's planning to kill somebody and he doesn't do it, I don't know if this is referring to this thing. However, if we're talking about somebody who actually goes, two people who actually both murderers, this guy kills and that guy kills, so very significant punishments are going to be for both. But the one who is, like what we call premeditated or whatever it is, right, is going to be much worse than the guy who just in the right, it's just the fit of passion, right. So this is what the pasuk is saying. Hayoytzer yachad libam. He forms their hearts together. Hainu sheroya yachad machshoves libam. He looks together into their thoughts of their heart. Like Chazal talks about in Meseches Rosh Hashanah. Hamevin el kol maseim, and he understands towards all their action. Rotzuloimer shehayoytzer elyon, the former, meaning the creator up above, is Baruch Shmoy, blessed be his name. Roye, he sees umevin machshoves libam hamitztaref el maseim. He looks, when he judges the action, he also looks at the thought that is connected to the action. V'donas kol echad kifi inyan machshavas liban. He judges each person according to the elements of thought that shehoya beis asiyas oven that were involved at the time that he did the savera. So again, just to clarify, because he said this something very similar before in Parakid Beis when he was speaking about action. But I think what he's saying is like this. So again, so every action has two parts to it. There's a thought part, and then there is the action part. That's clearly. So, but so even though the action is a result of the thought, right? And the thought maybe is nothing without the action, or it's right. But when they do come together, the thought and the action comes together, then the thought redefines the action. So the action is different, but the thought is also an independent entity unto itself that has to be analyzed by itself. So I don't know how to explain this, but basically,
You need to be in the mode of what happened in order to understand why this particular thought took place.
I'm not sure. Meaning,
Like reverse engineer meaning, for example, there's two accident, right? I can look at that. Okay, there's an accident that happened, or I can see it, everything that surrounded the accident. Somebody cut somebody off, or there was another car and the person looked to another car, and that's why they caused that accident. Meaning, there's different events that are happening.
I'm going to give you an example like this. I know this is the best example. Let's talk about a mitzvah situation, right? So Avram Avinu is asked to sacrifice his son, right? He goes to sacrifice his son. He's ready to do it. Hashem tells him, no, don't do it, right?
So when Hashem told him, at the end he told him.
Right.
Okay.
Right? So instead, he says, okay, so here, bring this idol instead. Bring this ram, right? So he brings the ram instead, right? So, well, big deal. So he brought a ram. So basically, they brought a ram every single holiday, Rosh Chodesh, like, okay, what's the difference between this Kohen Gadol bringing the ram and Avram Avinu bringing the ram? But we know that Avram Avinu's ram, forever, every single generation is going to live off the merit of that ram. What's the difference? Right? So the difference is that ram, two things are happening within that ram, even though, again, the basic midrashim level that we understand. We know that each time that he was shechting the ram, he had the machshava that he was mamash shechting his son, right? He says so. It was real representation, right? Why did he have to do that? Hashem told him don't do it, right? My understanding is on a simple level. Why did Hashem tell him to sacrifice his son in the first place? So we know that Avram Avinu is bechinas chesed, right? Yitzchak Avinu is bechina din gvura, right? So Hashem says, listen, I'm giving you a chance now to sort of stamp out din, judgment, all of the negativity that results from din and judgment. I'm giving you a chance to get rid of the world of judgment. All you have to do is sacrifice your son, right? Now, we also know that Hashem really didn't want him to do that because the world without judgment is also problematic, right? So there's two things that are happening in Akedas Yitzchak. There is the binding. So there's the binding, we call it Akedas Yitzchak, the binding of Yitzchak. So there's a limitation of judgment that forever created with that one action. And then there is the sacrifice of the isle, which replaces that, right? So therefore, each time we get up to judgment, which element do we call out? We go back to that thing. Oh, there is an Akedas Yitzchak over there. So when Avram Avinu is shechting that isle, it's completely different from any kind of korban that is standardly brought, because he is, at that moment, his action is actually, he's kind of shechting the Yetzer Hara, so to speak, right? So it looks like, okay, he's an old man, he is shechting a ram. But in reality, at that point, that he's shechting the Yetzer Hara, right? Why? The action is the same. Because his thought completely redefines what the action is taking place. At that point, he's not shechting the ram, he's shechting the Yetzer Hara, so to speak, right? So the action is completely redefined via his thought. Okay. So you could look at the action and say that action now is totally different, and you can judge the action as completely different. That's one. But furthermore, you can also analyze the thought that went into this action and analyze the thought on its own merits. not just from the aspect of the action, which the thought redefined, but you could also analyze the thought in the world of thought, so to speak, by the world of thought. Well, you understand what I'm saying? So in each action that a human does, there is the action, there is the thought that defines the action, and therefore you have to judge the action by what the action is, by what the thought that defined the action, and then there is a separate judgment on just what the thought is that went into the action. I don't know if that makes sense.
But then why can't you just go slightly back, and why can't you say, like, let him redefine the whole concept for, like, if you know that Hashem is the all merciful one, why does he tell him to kill his son? Maybe the whole concept there was supposed to be about him saying no to Hashem.
Okay, but you're asking now a question, just a general question on the case. I don't know.
Because that's also,
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many examples we have of saying no to Hashem. Do we have a lot of examples of that? Not too many. Not too many that worked out good. I mean, we have Yonah. We have Moshe being sent first. So I don't know how. For whatever reason, obviously.
That was the reason why he didn't say that.
All right. Meaning, actually, if you think about it, look at the trend, is Moshe is sent to save the Jewish people, and he says no, right?
Yeah.
So over there, meaning, and Avram Avinu is asked to kill his son, meaning saying no is clearly not the test over there. You know what I mean? Meaning Yonah is being sent to save a group of people.
No, but he's being sent is it to save the group of people?
To save Nineveh.
No, but he's sent to give the news, not to save them.
Well, of course, he's coming to save them. He's going to repent, so they will be saved.
No, but from his standpoint, he is not being sent to save. He got upset that he saved them.
Well, because he
viewed it as he is being sent
to punish the Jews. Right, but again, his point is to save. So he says, don't send me to save, right? Meaning, clearly, when I think I see a parallel that clearly when Hashem says, you know what, I want you to be the superhero.
Then you can say.
So you're gonna be like, who am I? Like, find somebody better than me, right? It makes sense that would be the more humble response. But Hashem says, you got to go do this terrible negative things, which obviously the human being doesn't want to. So clearly, your job is to say, whatever you want, God. I'll do it. As difficult as it is, your test is to do the opposite. Now, you could ask, why did Hashem do it? Well, okay, that's a discussion and a question. Okay, let's keep going. So, v'chein, Omar Shlomo HaMelech, and similarly Shlomo HaMelech says, Ki es kol ma'aseh ha'elakim yavi b'mishpat al kol ha'ne'alam. All the actions, we also discussed this pasuk before, Ki es kol ma'aseh, all of the action, ha'elakim, the God, yavi b'mishpat, will bring to judgment, al kol ne'alam, for everything that's hidden. So before, if you remember, we talked about Ki es kol ma'aseh ha'elakim, all of the actions, in as much as they, in their impact on the elakim, yavi b'mishpat. That's how he put the comma in a different place, Nefesh HaChaim, in the previous pasuk. But now he's going to, I think, focus on al kol ne'alam, on the hidden part. Rotzu loimer, he means to say, shemilvad ha'oinish al maaseh ha'oven b'foil. Besides the punishment on the action of the sin in actuality, oid yovi ha'elakim yisbarach shmo b'mishpat es kol maaseh. He will furthermore bring to judgment all of the action, which is what? Legalgil oleha, to turn to it, leduno gam ala machshava ne'aloma, also to judge it on the machshava, the thought, ha'ne'aloma, which is hidden, right? Which is hidden. Again, not in every action the thought is hidden, right? That's what I'm saying. There is within, if you analyze the action, most of the time there is, you could figure out, if you're, let's say, a psychologist, you could say, this is your action, say, oh, you know why you're doing this? This is what's really going on over here in your mind, right? But there is, so that action, that thought, which is not hidden, right? It's really within the mice. It's really within the action of the person. It's the thought that defines the action. But then there is also layers of thought which is not visible from the action. That's the hidden machshava. So Pasuk is saying, Al kol ne'alam, even the hidden aspect of the machshava is also brought to judgment. Eich, how, be'eze oifen, in what way, hoisa be'eze asiyah, how it was at the time that the person was doing that action. B'chein Omar Shlomo, and so it also says b'mishlei, Hashem b'chochma yosad oretz, Hashem with wisdom founded oretz, the land, the earth. Koinein shamayim b'tvua, he founded the heavens with understanding, b'daitei, with knowledge, tehoimois, the depths, nivko, were split. Okay, so these are kol kan. He includes over here derech klal in a very general way as kol ha'olamas, the three worlds. Okay, so he's talking about three physical things, right? Eretz, earth, shamayim, and tehoima is depth, which is usually referred to the oceans. The oceans are oftentimes referred to as tehoimas, the depths, right? So the three. So within our physical world is the heaven, the earth, and the deep. So he's saying that they actually are parallel to the three spiritual world which he mentioned before. So Eretz, earth, hu oilam hamtzoi, that's referring to the middle layer, the middle world. Shamayim, heavens, heim klal oilamis alyonim, that includes all of the upper world. So the hoimois and the depths over here correspond, heim klal atechtonim, correspond to the lower world, meaning the physical world. V'omer achar zeh, and then right after that, he says this peculiar phrase, B'ni, my son, al yaluzu mi'einecha. Let them not, yaluzu, let them, it's not clear what he's referring to, let B'ni al yaluzu mi'einecha, let them not stray, not escape mi'einecha, from your eyes. So what is he referring to? B'ni, let them not escape from your eyes? If he's talking about the earth and the heavens, like what is the God, why shouldn't they escape from your eyes? Some Mefarshim, again, in Pshat, they say this is referring to the words of Torah, meaning the words of rebuke that Shlomo Melech saying that from your eyes the words of rebuke should not escape. But he's going to have a very different approach. Again, sometimes in a way more literal approach. So first he says Loshen Ayin, we find that the word Ayin, I, Matzinu Kama Pa'im b'Mikra, we find many times in the Torah. And in the Psukim, Ne'amar al inyan machshava is talking about, means thinking, right? If you pierce at something, right, look at something, is another way of saying of digesting it, thinking about it, right? So the ayin is talking about machshava. K'mosh kosav, for example, it says v'libi ra, and my heart saw much wisdom. So what do you mean my heart saw much wisdom? It means you studied much wisdom, you thought about much wisdom. Or we say HaChaim einov b'roishoy, the Chacham has eyes in his head. What does that mean? He has eyes in his head, meaning he thinks ahead. So therefore, it's like he has eyes in his head, right? So therefore, so over here, ayin is synonymous with thought. Furthermore, v'yalizu, the word yalizu, escape or stray, matzinu b'mishnah shehu loshen hachamumis. We also find that that's a thought of bending, of making something crooked. Kemoy, for example, nolois who umeilis is b'shamayim. He's a crooked man, and he distorts he is distorted to his father in heaven. Right? So we see that the word yol is a kind of crookedness. So now he says, now that you understand these definitions, look at the pasuk again, and this is the pasuk is saying, B'ni al yoluzu mi'einecha, don't let these be crooked from your thought. If ayin means thought, yolizu means make crooked, so he says these, meaning the creation that I made, the shamayim, the earth, the tehoimos, the three levels of the world, al yoluzu meinecha, let them not be crooked, made crooked by your thought. Okay? Zeu shekosov b'ni, this is so what he means is b'ni, my son, chusno, please have pity, v'chamoylan, and again, mercy, al oilomos hayikorim, these dear worlds, shenivru b'chochma b'tvuno b'das, that were created with wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, V'hizoher, and be careful, shaloi tigrim chas v'sholem ikum v'kilkul l'kulam b'machshava, that you should not cause chas v'sholem some ikum, a bending, a crookedness, or destruction to all of these b'machshava achas, with one thought, asher lo tova, that is not good. Right? So again, so the pasuk says, Hashem b'chochma yosad haaretz, Hashem founded the earth with wisdom. Koinen Shemayim b'tvuna, he founded the Shemayim with understanding. B'daito yitohem nivko, with his knowledge the depths were split. And therefore, my son, that I'm talking about these three worlds of Chochmah, Bina, and Das, and the three worlds of the upper world, the middle world, and the lower world, Al Yaluzu Meinecha, let them not be made crooked, Meinecha, from your thought. Ayin, again, synonymous with thought in this case. Let them not be made crooked from your thought. I think we're going to probably stop here. So now he's going to connect. And so this is the end of the Machshava aspect. And from here, from the next paragraph, he's gonna summarize now. He's gonna talk about, so therefore we have this Gimel Bechinos. I guess I'll just read this line. Ve'elu ha-Gimel Bechinos. So these three elements, Masa, Dibur, Machshava, action, speech, and thought, Hein Klala Bechinos Pnimiyos Shala Odom. They include all of the inner aspects of a person. Shehem hagimel bechinos nefesh, ruach, and neshama. They correspond to the three layers of soul, which is nefesh, ruach, and neshama. So nefesh is going to say is connected to my action, ruach is connected to my speech, and neshama is connected to my thought. And therefore, corresponding to these three layers of my person, of my being, which is nefesh, ruach, neshama, is my pagam, made via those parts of my neshama. Okay.